Hello, so today we're going to be making a macrame necklace just like this one. If you've brought one of our kits, you have got a box with some yarn, some jump rings, some ribbon end clamps and a chain. If you haven't, that's what you'll need to get, as well as a pair of scissors, some pliers, tweezers and some tape. So first off, what we're going to do is start by making the knots for the macrame. If you haven't done macrame before, it's super easy, it's really satisfying. And with these knots you learned today, there's loads of different things that you can be doing from it. So what I've done is I've got 4 pieces of jersey yarn cut into 1 metre, so that's 4 metres in total. And what we're going to do, start off with a tricky one, because that's how we roll here. We're going to start with a Josephine knot. Josephine knot's really, really good. Really good base for a lot of things. I've used it for lots of jewellery, and today it's going to be the centre of our necklace, just like this one. And you'll see I've just cut some tape, because what I'm going to do is just tape down the end of the yarn. It's not really important, but it's just so it means it doesn't move too much as you use it. And what we're going to do in the centre of the yarn, we're going to split the 4 lots of yarn into 2. And then this means that the Josephine knot will go into the centre then. First off, we've got the 2. We're going to get the one on the left and we're going to put it up and over. So if you've got one of our how-to guides, there's some pictures and illustrations to follow along if you're not very good at following a video. So we've gone up and over the one on the right. Then what you need to do is pull out the one that goes behind, the one on the right. Just pull it out a bit, and then this end one is going to go over, under, down and through. So over, under this one, and then where your finger is, down and through. So just going to pull that then, and then you can see it kind of looks a bit like a pretzel, which is really good, but what we want to do is just neaten it up. So when I do a Josephine knot, I just follow it round and just give it a little neaten up. That's looking really good. If you can get this knot first time, I'm going to be super impressed. Please let me know, because a Josephine knot's a tricky one. My sister hates them. So as you can see, that's a really beautiful knot. That's going to be the beginning of the necklace. That's the centre of the necklace. So we can untape it now. And we've definitely got too much yarn, but it's better to have too much yarn than not enough. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to do a half square knot that becomes a square knot. So in theory, because we're going to have it as a square knot, it's going to be 3 different knots, but the 3 different knots are going to be made up of 6 knots. It will all become clear. So you can see I've got the Josephine knot at the side, and I've just got the 4 strands of yarn coming out. This time you're going to have 1 on the left, keep 2 in the middle and 1 on the right. If you've got any short bits, just make sure they stay in the middle, because these 2 in the middle don't move at all. And then working from the right, we're going to put the right piece over so it looks like a backwards L. So it's over the 2 in the middle, drop the 1 on the left in front, and then this one then is going to go behind and out through the front. So behind and out through the front. So in theory you've just swapped that left and right one over. Then very carefully just pull those 2 away from each other to make it nice and neat. These 2 in the middle will try and twist, just try not to let them twist. And then to make the square knot because that's just a half square knot, we're going to go from the left. So same thing in practice, but this time it's going to make it look like an L, because we're coming from the left over the 2 in the middle, and it's important to keep that loop there because that's where the yarn's coming through. The one on the right goes over, and then this one goes underneath and through. And then again, those 2 middle ones like to twist and move around, just keep them nice and flat. So that is a square knot. So we're going to do 2 more of the square knots, so that's 4 knots in total. This time from the right, because you're going to alternate, and then 1 from the left. If you've lost count of how many you've done, it's quite easy to count a square knot, because you can just count these lines. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you forget which side you need to go from, you're going to go from the side that's got the curve there. So we're going from the right this time. And you can see there's too much yarn, but like I said, it's always better to have too much than not enough. So that's number 5. And then a 6th one will end it. If you've got loads more yarn left, you can do a few more, but that's looking pretty good. So we're going to swap it around, do the same square knot from the other side. So again, Josephine's in the middle, keep the 2 in the middle and then you've got one on the left and one on the right. Starting from the right, over, under, and then behind and through. Keep those nice and flat, the ones in the middle, because they do have a tendency to want to move around. And then one from the left, over, under, behind and through. So that's 2 we've done, 1, 2, and then we're going to go from the left then because of the curve. Over, under, behind and through, and you'll see one of the pieces of yarn just getting slightly shorter. That one, well, both of them really, but we'll just keep an eye on them. And then from the left now, over, under, behind and through. It's looking really good. And then we want to go from the right then. If you were going to just keep going from the same side, what will happen is that would just start twisting, which again, that would make a really good necklace. So if you want to have a go at doing that, if you do this again, go ahead. So because you've got lots of yarn left on both sides, you could in theory do a few more, but I quite like that length. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some masking tape next, and we're not going to pull out loads, and we want to have these ribbon end clamps near, because what we want to do is tape around this end of the yarn where the knot's finished, but we don't want it any wider than that ribbon end clamp, because otherwise it's going to cause trouble. So just squish those together, put the masking tape on top, give it a flat edge round there, and then pull it round. As you do this bit, just double check it's not going to be any wider than that ribbon end clamp, and if it is wider, just give it a little readjust. That's perfect. Make sure it's nice and neat. You can just give it a bit of a squish then, and then we're going to go same again from this side. Have that ribbon end clamp there so you know that you're not going to do it too wide. And you can just see we're just doing it just below the knots, because then we're not getting rid of any of your nice knots that you've done. Round and down, just give it a squish, and again that's not any wider than that. So what we need next then is your ribbon end clamps and your jump rings. The ribbon end clamps are 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters wide, and I've just gone for a brass with this one because I think it looks quite nice with the teal yarn. And then we've got the chain as well. So with your tweezers, just work out roughly where the middle of the chain is, and then you're just going to break one of the links so that ends up as 2 parts. If you've got our kit, it's already done for you. So we've got the 2 ends then. And then what we want to do is with a pair of scissors, just cut these taped bits so you've got about 1/2 centimetre, 5 millimeters left on each edge, like that. We can move those out the way, use that for something else. And get your ribbon end clamps and just give it a squish, and you're just going to slide that in. And as you can see, some of the tape is still showing, so you can either slide that back off and give it another little trim, or you can use the tweezers to kind of give it a poke in. So again, just slide that in. So that's perfect. And if you can see any, so you can see the masking tape at the bottom. So just have another go doing that, try and get that bit in. Perfect. You can just see it a little bit, but then we just get your pliers. And these are just some standard ones I got from the hardware shop. Just give that a little squeeze. Don't squeeze it all the way down. Oh, can you see that's just come off? Oh, that's annoying. So we just untape that. So we'll do it on the other side. Just going to slide that on. That's good troubleshooting when mistakes happen. See that bit of tape there, but you can just use your tweezers then to push that down in, because we don't want to see that masking tape, because it's not going to look very pretty. Great, all good that side and that side, and then when you're done you can just clamp that on. Perfect. And if you can just see the bits there, what I generally do then is just give that another poke with the tweezers. Same with that one. So that's one side done. You just need to rectify that one. You can see where that's all just popped open. Would you believe me if I say this has never happened before? I wouldn't. So we're going to get the tape. We're going to make sure we get those 4 ends so they don't go anywhere. We're going to try not to ruin that knot too much. We're going to do exactly the same before. Squish it round, and then we can give it an extra big squish this time. Like that, and then we can get rid of that excess. So you've got about 1/2 centimetre, and you're just going to slide that in. Perfect. when I first started doing these, I didn't slide it in, but sliding it in just makes such a big difference. It makes it so much neater. So just give that a squish. How embarrassing that I'm making a big mess of this. No, it's good, it's troubleshooting. It means that if you make a mistake, you won't be worried to fix it, because these things happen. Okay, once all that tape is in, get your pliers back, just give it a squish. Perfect. A little bit more tape there. You really don't want to see that tape, because all the tape's doing is just making it a little bit easier to get into those ribbon end clamps. There you go, that's looking perfect. So what we need to do next is get the jump rings and the chain, so it's all good to go. For the jump rings, you need your tweezers and your pliers. You could use 2 pairs of pliers, you could use 2 pairs of tweezers, but I like that the pliers are really good at like clamping onto it, and the tweezers are nice and flat. When you open a jump ring, you don't want to pull them away from each other, like you don't want to open it up, you just want to slightly prise them away from each other, so it means that you can not ruin the shape of the ring. So then you're just going to hook it onto the ribbon end clamp, and then get the end of your broken chain, just slide that on, and once it's on, you can just get your pliers and then slowly just close that back up by sliding them back next to each other. So this hasn't taken very long at all, even with the problem with the tape, which is really good. And like I said, you can make the knots as long as you want. You could maybe do a variation of the Josephine knot. You could try making it twisted. Then we just need to get the second one. And again, they kind of generally come a bit curled up like that, but when you open them, just prise them apart a little bit. No need to go too mad, because the bits that you're going to put on aren't massive. And then just slot on the ribbon end clamp, and then get the end one, if we can find it. Yeah, perfect. And then on. And then we're just going to close that up. So I love making these because they're really satisfying. They're not very slow to automate. It doesn't take very long at all, and you make a beautiful necklace. So how about maybe cutting up an old t-shirt, using that instead, or yeah, you could use lots of different variations of colours or different knots, but this is just one to get you started. Okay, happy making, bye bye.